Are you happy or just performing happiness? Oh, have a decent job. A few friends who like your posts. You've traveled, eaten well, maybe even fallen in love once or twice. On the outside, things look fine. But inside, there's a whisper, a silence that gets louder every time you're alone. A subtle ache that says, this can't be all there is. And so you scroll. You book another trip. You meditate, manifest, or drink, just to quiet that voice. You smile harder. Perform happiness. Convince yourself that it's working. But what if that ache isn't depression? What if it's not something wrong with you, but something missing? Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist who survived Auschwitz, believed that this kind of emptiness is not a disease, it's a signal. When a person can't find a deep sense of meaning, they distract themselves with pleasure. In a world that tells you to be happy, Frankl invites you to go deeper, to stop asking, am I happy? And start asking, does my life have meaning? This is where our journey begins, not in chasing more moments that feel good, but in discovering a direction that feels true.
The culture of constant pleasure. We live in a world obsessed with feeling good. Scroll through your feed and you'll find it everywhere. Treat yourself. Follow your bliss. Good vibes only. It sounds harmless, comforting even. But what happens when the pursuit of happiness becomes a chronic addiction? We begin to treat every discomfort as a defect. Sad? Buy something. Lonely? Swipe. Tired? Escape. We are told that pain is a problem, and that life exists to be enjoyed, not endured. Viktor Frankl warned against this very mindset. He saw even decades ago that a life without meaning would be filled with noise. Not because we're full, but because we're terrified of sitting with our own emptiness. Ever more people today have the means to live, but no meaning to live for. The more we chase pleasure as a goal, the more fragile we become. Because pleasure is a byproduct, not a foundation. You don't need to abandon joy. But when joy becomes your compass, you start to lose your direction. Frankl didn't reject happiness. He simply reminded us, happiness ensues. It's not pursued. It follows when we're doing something meaningful, not when we're chasing a mood. In a culture where distraction is the default, meaning becomes rebellion. And rebellion sometimes is the most honest way to live.
Frankl versus Freud, the war between pleasure and purpose. Viktor Frankl was once a student of Sigmund Freud, but their paths and philosophies soon parted in profound ways. Freud, the father of psychoanalysis, believed that at the core of human nature lies the pleasure principle, that our deepest drive is to avoid pain and seek gratification. Food, sex, power, relief. It makes sense. Much of our behavior does revolve around comfort and reward. But Frankl saw something deeper, something Freud missed. Frankl had lived through Auschwitz. He saw people stripped of all pleasure. No food, no freedom, no future. And yet, some survived with dignity. They didn't survive because they felt good. They survived because they had a reason to live. Life is never made unbearable by circumstances, but only by lack of meaning and purpose. Frankl. This was Frankl's revolution. He proposed that the core human motivation is not pleasure, but purpose. Not comfort, but calling. Not the avoidance of suffering, but the courage to give suffering a reason. Freud said, "You are driven by desire." Frankl answered, "No, you are driven by what your soul demands of you." And when those demands are clear, even suffering becomes sacred. In the battle between pleasure and purpose, only one can carry you through the darkest moments of your life. Frankl's question to us isn't, what do you want? It's, what is life asking of you? What is logotherapy? The psychology of meaning. So far, we've seen that pleasure alone cannot carry us. That freedom is choosing our response. And that purpose, not pleasure, fuels our survival. But how do we find this purpose? What framework helps us turn emptiness into meaning? Enter logotherapy, Viktor Frankl's gift to psychology. Logotherapy comes from the Greek logos, meaning meaning. It's the therapy of meaning, a clinical approach that guides people to discover and create significance in their lives. Unlike Freud's psychoanalysis, which dives into the past, or Adler's individual psychology, focused on power and superiority, logotherapy points forward, to the future task that only you can fulfill. At its core, logotherapy rests on three paths to meaning: creating a work or doing a deed, engaging in acts that contribute beyond yourself, work, art, service, teaching. Example: the teacher who pours passion into students, finding purpose in each mind she inspires. Experiencing something or encountering someone, fully embracing beauty, truth, love, nature's sunrise, a symphony, or the soul of another human. Example: the moment you truly see a friend's pain and respond with compassion. The attitude we take toward unavoidable suffering. When pain can't be removed, we choose how to bear it, with dignity, courage, and a sense of purpose. Example: the patient in a hospital bed who transforms agony into a source of understanding for others. Why it matters: applying logotherapy today. In a world of algorithms and hollow affirmations, logotherapy cuts through the noise. It asks you not what makes you happy, but what task calls for your unique gifts. It's not a magic pill. It's not positive thinking. It's a challenge. Live as if your life depended on finding meaning, because it does. In the next section, we'll dive into practical exercises. 3 simple logotherapy techniques you can use today to start forging your purpose. No waiting, no fluff, just real work on your own life's calling. 3 logotherapy exercises to forge your purpose. We've defined logotherapy's pillars, and now it's time for action. Meaning isn't discovered by thinking harder. It's created through simple, intentional practices. Here are 3 logotherapy exercises you can start today. No therapist required. 1. The future letter. Write a letter from your future self. How to do it. Close your eyes. Imagine yourself 5 or 10 years from now, having lived a life rich in purpose. In a journal or on your phone, write to your present self. Describe what you did, who you helped, what gave your days meaning. Seal it or set a reminder, and read it back in a week, a month, or whenever you feel adrift. Why it works. You shift focus from momentary pleasure to a future calling. You begin to feel accountable to a person you wish to become. 2. The meaning audit. Track what truly energizes you. How to do it. For 3 days, record every activity: work, scrolling social media, conversations, chores. Next to each, rate how meaningful it felt on a scale of 1 to 10. Identify patterns. What repeatedly scores high? These are clues to your unique purpose. Why it works. By measuring meaning rather than pleasure, you learn where real fulfillment lives. You can reallocate time toward the actions that light you up. 3. The attitude pause. Insert a reflective moment between stimulus and response. How to do it. Whenever you encounter discomfort, stress at work, a difficult conversation, inner doubt, pause. Take 3 slow breaths. Ask, what meaning can I find here? Choose a response that aligns with courage, compassion, or contribution. Why it works. This builds the space Frankl described, where freedom lives. You reclaim power over your reactions, turning suffering into purpose. These exercises aren't one-time hacks. They're daily rituals that train your mind and your soul to seek meaning first, pleasure second. In part 6, we'll hear real stories of people who used these exact practices to transform grief into growth, despair into devotion, and emptiness into purpose. Stay with us and prepare to be inspired by lives reshaped from the inside out. Real stories of transformation. Meaning isn't theory, it's lived. Let's meet 3 individuals who turned emptiness into purpose using those exercises. Story 1. The future letter that reclaimed a dream. Meet Maya, a burned-out graphic designer in her early 30s. She felt stuck, creativity drained, passion gone. One evening, she wrote a letter from her future self, envisioning a life where her art inspired her community. Dear Maya, she penned, you're leading free weekend workshops teaching kids how to draw their dreams. Revisiting that letter every month, she gradually carved out time to volunteer at a local youth center. Today, Maya hosts a thriving after-school art program. In her words, that letter was a promise I made to myself, and breaking that promise felt more painful than my exhaustion. Story 2. The meaning audit that revealed hidden passion. This is Daniel, a corporate accountant who dreaded Mondays. His meaning audit showed that his daily 30-minute morning jog scored higher in fulfillment than any boardroom meeting. He realized that movement and fresh air energized him far more than spreadsheets ever could. Within weeks, Daniel launched a weekend running club for colleagues. Tracking meaning forced me to see that my soul needed motion more than metrics. Story 3. The Attitude Pause that transformed grief. And here's Sarah, who lost her partner unexpectedly. In her pain, Sarah used the attitude pause. In each moment of grief, she asked, "What can this teach me?" Instead of escaping in isolation, she chose compassion, volunteering at a grief support group. She discovered that by bearing her suffering with purpose, her story became a lifeline for others. "I still feel the ache," she admits, "but now I feel alive carrying it toward healing, not hiding from it." These aren't exceptional heroes, they're everyday people who found a path through the void. Their journeys show us that meaning is not reserved for philosophers or saints. It's forged in the choices we make each day. In Part 7, we'll explore how purpose reshapes your daily life, the small decisions and rituals that align your 24 hours with the why you've discovered. Stay with us as we uncover the power of living every day on purpose. Living your why. Daily rituals of purpose. Purpose isn't a grand event. It's found in the small choices you make every hour of the day. Those moments where you could drift, but instead you choose to live on purpose. Morning intention. Before your feet hit the floor, pause and set an intention. Today, I will act for Tai Geek. Whether it's kindness to a stranger, progress on a project, or simply listening fully in conversation, this tiny ritual anchors your day in your why. Mindful moments. Throughout your routine, making coffee, brushing your teeth, walking to work, practice the attitude. Pause. Take a breath. Remind yourself of your purpose. Let the mundane become a reminder. Even this small act can serve my greater meaning. Midday check-in. At lunch or a work break, ask yourself 2 questions. Am I aligned with my purpose right now? What small action can I take next that honors my why? Jot down your answers. These check-ins keep you from slipping into autopilot. Purposeful connections. Choose to engage deeply, really listen in one conversation each day. Whether with a colleague, friend, or family member, offer your presence as a gift. Frankl reminded us that through love and authentic attention, we forge meaning not only for ourselves, but for others. Evening reflection. Before sleep, take 5 minutes to review your day. Note moments where you lived your purpose. Acknowledge where you drifted. Ask, what did I learn today about my why? This gentle ritual turns every sunset into a lesson, every mistake into guidance. These daily practices weave purpose into the fabric of your life. They remind you that meaning isn't an occasional thrill. It's the constant heartbeat beneath every decision, every action. In Part 8, we'll explore how to maintain purpose in times of crisis, when routines break, plans fail, and life demands the deepest resilience. Stay tuned as we learn to stand firm in purpose, even when the ground shakes beneath us. Standing firm. Maintaining purpose in crisis. Life's storms don't announce themselves. They arrive without warning. A job loss, a health scare, a relationship falling apart. In those moments, every routine shatters, and so can our sense of purpose. Acknowledge the turmoil. First, admit to yourself, this is hard. Don't minimize the pain or pretend you're okay. Frankl taught that authenticity with suffering is the first step toward reclaiming meaning. Revisit your why. In crisis, your purpose may feel distant. Return to your future letter or meaning audit. Read the visions you've written. Remind yourself of what energized you before the storm. This reconnection isn't denial, it's a lifeline. Adapt your actions. Purpose isn't fixed, it's flexible. Ask, what small act can I do right now that aligns with my why? If you can't volunteer, perhaps you can send an encouraging message. If you can't work on your project, can you read a chapter of a book that inspires you? Adaptation keeps your purpose alive, even in broken routines. Lean on community. Frankl emphasized that meaning is found in relationship. Seek out those who share or support your purpose. A brief conversation, a shared journal, or an online group can provide solidarity. Proof that you're not walking this path alone. Transform crisis into catalyst. Crises can ignite our deepest strengths when we choose to see them as tests of character. Ask yourself, how can this challenge reveal a new dimension of my purpose? Perhaps your pain can fuel empathy for others. Perhaps your resilience can inspire hope in someone else. Hold the vision of growth. Finally, envision your future self after the storm. Wiser, stronger, more compassionate. Use that vision as a beacon. One day, I'll look back and see how this trial shaped me. By admitting your struggle, revisiting your why, adapting your actions, and leaning on others, you do more than survive. You grow. In Part 9, we'll explore how to extend this growth, turning personal transformation into a broader legacy of meaning for the world around you. From resilience to legacy, expanding your impact. Resilience carries you through the storm. Legacy lets your light guide others long after the storm has passed. 1. Recognize your ripples. Every act of purpose creates ripples. A kind word sparks courage. A lesson shared ignites curiosity. A story of survival offers hope. Pause each week to note one way your choices have touched another life. 2. Multiply your meaning. Legacy isn't about grand monuments. It's about multiplying small acts. Mentor someone in your field. Volunteer to teach what you've learned. Share your story in a blog or video, so strangers can find their why too. When you multiply meaning, you weave a tapestry stronger than yourself. 3. Build a community of purpose. Frankl believed meaning thrives in connection. Gather others who share your values. Start a local group or online forum. Host regular meetups, book clubs, discussion circles, service projects. Encourage each member to both give and receive support. A community anchored in purpose becomes a force for lasting change. Write your ethical will. An ethical will isn't about assets. It's about values and lessons you leave behind. Write a letter to future generations. What did you learn in suffering? What principles guided your choices? What hopes do you have for those who come after you? This document becomes a beacon for those who follow your path. Leave the world better. Finally, ask, if my life's meaning were a gift, what form would it take in the world? Perhaps it's a nonprofit, a work of art, a journal, or simply a legacy of kindness. Choose one tangible way to contribute, and begin. As your purpose radiates outward, you transcend yourself. Your suffering, once a private crucible, becomes a beacon of hope. In the final part, we'll return to the void, our starting point, and see how embracing emptiness is not an end, but the threshold of true love and enduring meaning. Embracing emptiness, the beginning of true purpose. We began in emptiness, chasing pleasure to fill a hollow heart. We learned that purpose, not fleeting joy, sustains us. We discovered Logotherapy's path, creating, experiencing, choosing our attitude. We faced crisis, transformed suffering, and ignited legacies beyond ourselves. Now, at this journey's end, we return to where we started, the void. But this time, it is no longer a threat. It is a threshold. 1. The void as invitation. When you sit with emptiness, you meet the deepest question of all. What will I do with my life now? That question is not an abyss. It's an open door, a blank canvas where your choices paint meaning. 2. Love. Reimagined. Earlier, we saw that love couldn't save us from inner emptiness. But love, when rooted in purpose, becomes the most powerful expression of our meaning. It's not love as dependency, but as compassionate action. It's not love as escape, but as shared responsibility. It's not love as emotion only, but as a commitment to another's growth, and thus to your own. 3. Your ongoing call. Viktor Frankl said, ultimately, man should not ask what the meaning of his life is, but rather must recognize that it is he who is asked. Every sunrise, life asks you, what will you choose today? Who will you serve? How will you turn your suffering into strength? 4. A final invitation. So here is your invitation. Embrace the emptiness. Forge your purpose. Live each moment with intention, beyond comfort, beyond fear. Extend your meaning to others, creating ripples of hope. This is not a destination. It is a way of living, a lifelong journey. In every joy and every struggle, you are both the artist and the canvas. Thank you for walking this path of purpose. May your life become a story of meaning, Not because you avoided emptiness, but because you chose to create something beautiful from it.